My name is Scott, and I've always loved being around the water. A dream of mine was to one day own a lakefront property of my own. For years, my wife and I have driven around the state looking at property. Sometimes we were serious, and sometimes we just needed something to do, but we were always dreaming. Now the dream has become a reality. Come join us as we attempt to build our very own off-grid cabin on Lake Lot 9.
A million leaves upon a single tree, reaching for the heavenly. The day is a mirror to the night, is a mirror to my soul.
So I found me a marketplace deal for my private boat dock for the lake cabin. A gentleman had bought this for a private pond of his, and then before he ever got to install it, he decided to sell his house and move. So what we got here, we've got 5 sections of 4 foot by 8 foot aluminum Patriot dock system sections, and these all came in pieces, but he had already put them together, so all I have to do is actually put the sections together. So we got 5 of those. So if we put all 5 of those together side by side, it'll be 8 foot by 20, which would be a pretty good size. Along with that are 8 of these 2 foot by 4 foot by 1 foot thick Eagle floats, and these are rated to float 380 pounds per float, and there's 8 of those, which is enough for 2 of these per section for 4 sections. So the way I'm going to put this together is I'll have the 5 sections bolted together side by side, and I'll have 2 floats per section for 4 of the 5 sections, and then the middle section will not have a float, and that'll be fine. His idea was, the reason he don't have enough floats for all 5 sections was he was going to use 1 section for his gangway to walk out to the dock, and only have a 4 by 16 deck or dock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all 5 sections together, so I have a 4 by 20, put the section in the middle without any floats, and then build my own gangway and hinges out to it. So like all other videos with this off-grid cabin project we've got going on, when you see this video, it's going to be a compilation of several different days, because basically I think what I'm going to have to do is I'll attach 2 floats to a section and haul it out to the lake when I go. Just throw it on top of whatever materials I'm taking out that day, strap it down, take it out, leave it at the lake, hope nobody steals it. Once I get all the pieces out there, then I'll bolt them all together on the bank, push it out into the edge of the water, and then deck it. And I'm going to deck it with composite decking. That way I won't have to worry about it ever rotting. The only wood I'll have on this project will be materials I use to build my ramp, and that's only if I don't come up with a better plan or find a better deal between now and then. I've been kind of eyeballing some aluminum ramps, loading ramps, maybe to use, I don't know, but the goal is all the wood that I'll have in the whole project to be on, so far, will be on the gangway or the gangplank out to the dock. So I'm going to get this unloaded and put up, and the next time you see me, I'll be attaching a couple of these floats to one of these sections, and that'll be another day. We're just trying to catch it all, and like I said, these videos are going to be scattered out amongst several different days. So I'm going to do as much of this dock work as I can at home, just to save some trouble. And if you can see in all this mess, I bought enough composite Trex decking to do the entire, to deck the entire dock and the walkway that I'm going to build for it. And it is two different colors, but there's a lot more of one color than the other. And I've got a pretty good idea how I'm going to make it work so it'll look good. But anyway, I got this material for less than half of what it would have cost if I went to a big box store and bought it. Not a big fan of paying full price for anything anymore. If you shop around, you can find this stuff. You just have to be patient, and you just got to have time. So I think what my plan is going to be is I'm going to mount 2 of these floats to each section here, and then whenever I load up a load of concrete or whatever I'm going to do at the lot for that day, then I can flip this float side up and slide it in the back of my truck over my other materials and haul it down one section at a time. And I was going to install floats today, and but today happens to be Christmas Day, and I'm not about to try to find a store open. But the guy that sold me this dock had concocted this series of hardware here to connect the floats to the frame. And I would have probably done some stuff different, but since he's already supplied these parts, it'd be kind of dumb not to use them. But the one thing I am going to change is these lock washers are just too big. If you look, whenever you screw it down, the nut almost goes into the lock washer, so I'm going to change that. I'm either going to get smaller lock washers, or I'm just going to replace these nuts with the Teflon insert. That's not a huge deal, so I'm not going to do that today. And I'm going to go ahead and cut my decking. So these frames, each piece is 4 by 8, 4 foot by 8 foot. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my decking. Looks like about 47 3/4 is going to be pretty much spot on where I need it. And at first I was going to do like one section with the decking running across, and then the next section with the decking running long ways, just to create a cool look. But one of the downfalls of this composite decking is it's pretty flexible. So you're looking at a 4 foot span here, and I feel like it'd just be too soft, too squishy to work out. So we'll run them all this way, and the good thing is I can cut them all the same size. So today I'm going to cut enough pieces to run crossways to do one full section, but I'm not going to mount them yet. That'll be easier to do at the lake once I get all this out on the water. And plus it's going to make it harder to put these sections together if I put the decking on first, because that's going to get in my way. But what I can do is I can take a section of this with the floats attached and enough of the decking each day that I go down, throw it out on the bank, and assemble it all as I can as I get it down there. So that's going to be the chore today on Christmas, is I want to cut enough pieces to deck this section. I'm going to pre-drill 2 holes in each end of each piece of wood, and I want to connect these using stainless steel self-tapping screws. about as close as you're gonna get that. All right, so it took 17 boards, and these washers here are an 1/8 inch thick. So I really didn't want to leave a gap wider than that, and I really didn't want to not leave a gap. So it ended up being 17 boards and then 1 inch and 7/8 of another board. And then of course, I'm not going to install these here, but when I do, I can put 3 of the spacers all the way across to make sure everything's square. My smaller size lock washer just makes a lot more sense to me that way. I mentioned earlier that these are Patriot dock frames and Eagle floats. So we'll have to drill holes. I mean, that would probably never go nowhere, but I would feel better if I drilled out these two, one on each side. And I've got enough hardware for it, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. All right, so now the plan will be I can slide this on the back of the truck upside down like it is here, on top of whatever concrete or materials I take down to the lake next. Take the boards that I cut separately for this section, unload all this at the lake, and then repeat that 5 times until I get it all down there, and hope nobody steals it in the meantime. My little latch thing broke. If you could just, right there where you're at, just grab that and just gently lift up on it. Yep. made my first mistake, I guess you could say. It'll still work just fine, but as I was going down through here, I was lining one side of my boards up with each other to make sure they were straight. And for one thing, these 2x6s weren't perfectly straight anyway. But the idea was for these boards to hang over 3 inches on each side. And the farther I got down that way, if you can tell, the more the boards gradually moved to our right here. But the good news is it's going to function as a perfectly stable boat dock ramp. I already had all my holes drilled before I realized the mistake. So this is how it's going to be. So my mistake was getting on my nerves a little bit. So I went down both sides and cut both sides of the decking boards off as even as I could. The original plan was for these boards to only be the width of the 2x6 frame to start with. So we're kind of back to the original plan. Unfortunately, the 2x6s aren't the straightest in the world, but I'm glad I went back and done it because it was getting on my nerves that I screwed up that bad. So I'll settle for this. I've got the floats installed on the last 2 sections of the dock sections. They're ready to go. I've got the ramp built. Hinges on both ends. I've got all my tracks cut for all 5 sections. 3 sections worth here in the truck. The other 2 are already down at the lake, along with the other 3 dock sections themselves. There's the piece that'll be attached to the concrete on the bank, with the other side of the hinges on there. And then I've got the form made to pour the concrete on the bank to attach the dock to. And then of course I've got some rebar here to go in there for when I pour the concrete. So really, all I need is good enough weather for long enough to get the road back in shape to travel, or to get the boat out of the shop. Look for part 2 of this boat dock build coming up soon. Until then, find something you love to do and do it till it hurts.